We get to love her forever. And she's ours. And people will tell us, like, she's lucky to have us. And I say, no way. We're lucky to have her. Hey friends, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Kate. I run the Love Mother blog and Love Mother podcast, also here on YouTube, of course. We do mom life together, and I'm all about cultivating a faithful and intentional heart and home. If any of that interests you, you feel like that message aligns with who you are or who you want to be, then subscribe, hit the red button down below and the little notification bell beside it so that you don't miss any videos. But today's video is what to expect when you're adopting from foster care. So before I get into it, you are fostering or adopting babies, and you're caring for kids in foster care. I think a swaddle is one of the most important things that you will need, a good swaddle. And I was super excited because this company, it's Nora and Ani, I think it's two moms. Here, these beautiful ladies. They asked if they could send this swaddle to me, so I wanted to do a little unboxing, but I think that this is a genius idea. So their swaddle is called the Snug-A-Babe. So before I get into it, I'm just gonna quickly open this for you guys. Before I edit it, I will make sure I put a little note if I love this or not. But I can already tell I'm going to. I need a knife. So what makes the swaddle different is it has little pockets for their hands. So if you've ever cared for a baby with NAS, neonatal abstinence syndrome, I've got other videos on that. First of all, I love their packaging. Came in this nice thing with some cards, explained who they are. I really love to support other moms, so I'm super excited to share this company with you guys. And I picked, I think this is called Cloud9. Oh, it's super soft. All right, so let's see. Okay. Oh, this is genius. So it's got two little slits here where you actually put the baby's arms, and then it is shaped like a big triangle, so you don't have to worry about folding the top down. It's a little bit thicker up here, but you actually tuck the baby's arms in here before you swaddle so they can't get out. This is genius. Our little guy just transitioned out of swaddling, but he still like scratches his face up a lot. He's very like up in his face. So I am going to try this out on him, and maybe it'll help him sleep better. They had some really cute prints, so if you are interested, you're looking for a new swaddle, I'm a fan of like just muslin, like a good quality. I love the Finn and Emma are my favorite muslin swaddle cloths, but this is a nice stretchy material. They can't get their little hands out. They'll stay tucked in much tighter and sleep better. So I'm gonna give this a try, and then I'm gonna put a quick little review in here. Anyways, let's get into the topic of today's video. I have a baby waking up from a nap shortly, so we will see how much we can get through. So we've been foster parents for 5 years now. If you're new here, we just recently adopted our daughter Rosie in December, so last month. It's still surreal to say that. And we've been caring for her through the foster care system since she was 1 day old. The journey was filled with ups and downs, some things we expected and some things we did not. So I have the privilege of speaking to many foster and adoptive mamas here on the internet because of what I do with my blog and YouTube channel and podcast. It's a big passion of mine because I know firsthand how isolating, how lonely this journey can be and how hard it can be sometimes. So connecting other foster mamas together, just being there to listen to somebody, like, it's important to me because in the beginning, that's what I wish I had, was a community of like-minded mamas. I just believe in order to be a thriving foster parent, you need to have a strong support system, and we don't all have that within our individual circles. So now that we've made it to the adoptive side of this foster and adoption journey, I thought I would share with you some things to expect. And I have been very open that we got into foster care to adopt. We felt God called us to adopt. We wanted to adopt through the foster care system. That does not mean we don't support reunification. We absolutely do support reunification, probably more so than we did before we became foster parents. Like, I think we thought it would be harder, but it's actually a lot easier than you think. But we know just statistically that some kids are going to need a forever family. So for us, adopting through the foster care system was the avenue we chose for adoption. Again, that doesn't mean we don't support reunification, because we absolutely do, but this is just the avenue we chose to adopt. The first thing you can expect is nothing is official until the judge signs the paper. We were told many things along the journey, and I trusted the social workers that things were going to follow through with what they said. But the thing is, there's always somebody else. So they might say something, then the supervisor might say something differently. The lawyer may say something differently. The judge may make a different decision. So take everything you hear from a social worker with a grain of salt. And I'm not saying that this is their fault. I'm just saying there's so many other people involved that often what they say will change before the next court date or will change by tomorrow. Things may be going one way and it's looking like the child is going to need to be adopted, and then all of a sudden a bio parent steps up and starts working and the case gets extended even though the child's already been in care a year. Like, there's so many factors. So nothing is official until the judge says it's final. So at 14 months, we were expecting that our daughter would be made legally free for adoption, and we had our adoption home study approved. Like I said, she'd been living with us for 14 months. We were the only family she knew. And I walked into court and was completely blindsided because somebody put in a plan for her at the very last minute. So even the social workers, we all thought it was going this way, and then something happened, and it took 5 months to resolve that and the plan to be turned back to us. It took another 10 months to actually adopt her. So when I was like at the 14-month mark thinking, oh, like by 18 months old, this will be completely done. Like, no, it took another 15 months before things were actually finalized. So don't put stock in what any social worker says. And again, no fault of their own, but just wait. The judge's word is the final decision. Doesn't matter what way things look like they're going. It's not over till the judge signs the papers. Second thing I would say is the timeline is never what you expect. And this to me has got to be the most frustrating part about, well, not the most, but one of the most frustrating parts about the foster care system. It makes zero sense to me. Our daughter was with us since she was 1 day old. Like I said, we're really the only family she's ever known. Pretty evident early on that reunification wasn't going to happen, that there was no kin, and it still took 2.5 years. Like, to me, her case was pretty, because she's not our first, like we've seen other cases. Like, to me, her case was pretty straightforward, but in the end, it did not turn out to be that way. So it took 19 months for the decision to be made that adoption was her permanency plan. And legally, by the 1 year mark, the plan for permanency is supposed to be in. So it took another 7 months past what it's legally supposed to be for the plan to even be put in place. So I know as a foster parent, they're like, oh, telling us the law, and it may be different in your state, but that is not the way it goes. So the timeline is never what you think. It's really frustrating. It changes for a variety of reasons. You know, the decisions of the case direction may change. It can be anything from missing paperwork. It can be anything from supervisors who need to sign off on paperwork being on vacation. Like, there's so many reasons things will get delayed. So whatever you expect, tack another year or so on that, and then maybe you have a more realistic timeline. And I say this kind of like snarkily, is that a word? But like, it's just frustrating. It's frustrating to me how long my daughter's adoption took. And I'm not saying that parents should not have time to reunify. I'm not talking about that. Like, this is once reunification wasn't an option, once kin wasn't an option, like the time it still took from that point. It's frustrating. And you just want to bring your daughter on vacation, get a passport, like be able to take her without getting special approval and then picking up a special bed from the agency because we have to use their playpens, not our own. Like, there's just so many little rules when it, like, in every other way, they're your child. It's just frustrating. So I'm freshly frustrated with this one. Sorry, the battery died. So timeline, yes, it's frustrating. I do believe God's timing is always better. God's plan is always the best plan. I do believe that. But my human nature still gets frustrated with the timeline. I see now why everything took as long as it did because of other things going on in our life. But still, when you're in the middle of it, it can be very frustrating. So just expect that. The timeline is never what you expect. The third thing I would say to expect is you're probably going to feel a lot of guilt. I didn't really expect it to hit me as hardly as it did when adoption day was finally coming close. Happy as I was to adopt our girl, our daughter who had been our daughter for this point at 2.5 years, I still struggled with, did I do enough to support reunification? Did I help her mom enough? Did I do enough? And I think I took a lot of this heavy emotion on because I want what's best for my daughter. I want her to have a relationship with biological family. There's so many things she doesn't have control over and I don't have control over, but I just felt like washed with guilt. Like her being adopted is now severing that really, and I mean, don't get me wrong, like the parental rights had already been terminated for a while at this point, but like it was a new family. She was getting a new birth certificate. There was a lot of heavy guilt feelings associated. Is she going to resent us one day? Should I try and hunt down more biological family? Like, should I do that now while she's still little? Do I wait till she's old enough? Like, it's a big responsibility to be an adoptive parent. And I just really felt the weight of that when adoption day actually came. Like, there was a side of me that was super excited and super happy. And it just kind of hit me in those few days leading up to it. Like, this is a final like thing for her. There's so much brokenness and beauty in the world of adoption. And the guilt of like even just being excited, like that guilt sat heavy on my heart, because for me to be excited meant like this other family was losing their daughter. And I mean, it's complicated because she'd been available for adoption. Like her parental rights have been terminated for months, but the officialness of the adoption and her getting a new name and all of that, like it weighed heavier on my heart than I think I thought it would. Number 4, which kind of ties into the last one, is holding their story is hard, especially when you've adopted a baby, an infant, a toddler. There's a lot of stuff that she won't know, or I won't be able to tell her till she's age appropriate. She will always know she's adopted. We will be very open about that. I believe in that 100%. There's no secrets here, obviously. But how do I tell her the hard parts of her story? And when do I tell her that? And I wish it wasn't her story. Like, I wish I didn't have to tell her all of these things that I'm going to have to tell her one day. So like holding that story and holding that for X amount of years until she's ready to hear these things, it's a hard thing. So I just kind of like shove it down and try not to think about it and just live more in the moment, because we're going to cross that bridge when we get there. But there's definitely an element of hard to just like holding her story. Number 5, the only certain thing about foster care and adopting through foster care is that everything is uncertain. And this kind of goes back to the first couple points I made about timeline. You must be comfortable living in the unknown, because as foster parents, I feel like you live in between the court dates. Can we plan a vacation? Can we do this? You know, you live between usually an 8 to 12 week span of a time. Is that child going to be with me? Are we going to be grieving in 3 months from now? Are we going to be status quo? Like, you really do live in like in between the court dates is the best way for me to explain it. There's just so much unknown. So the only thing that's certain is everything is uncertain. When it comes down to details about the kids, like medical history, is this their actual father? You know, does DNA test needs to be done? Does the family even want reunification? Is there going to be a visit today? Like, even in your little day-to-day, you have to be comfortable living in the unknown, because if you try to control it, being a foster parent will drive you crazy. So just living in the unknown and taking each little piece of information, with a grain of salt, but taking it as it comes and not trying to look too much into the future and trying to put all the pieces together, because it's just not going to happen. There's too many unknowns. There's too many people involved. So the only thing that's certain is everything is uncertain. Be comfortable in the unknown. The next point, number 6, is it's easier than you think to love your kids' bio parents even when they've hurt your child. So I think when I became a foster parent, I thought, you know, these are horrible parents and the kids are getting taken away for a reason. And it was our very first foster placement. I became friends with their mom, and I realized the struggles and the things that were up against her and the lack of support, and I got flooded with empathy, compassion for her, and I just wanted so badly to help her and to see that family restored. And I think when you're an outsider looking in, it's harder to have that perspective. I mean, maybe you're a super empathetic, compassionate person to begin with. I think I was decently empathetic and compassionate going into foster parenting, but my first few days as a foster parent, meeting the bio family for the first time, and then meeting they all have different stories. There's all a thread of similarity with the loss of their children, of course, but it was so much easier to love them and try to champion them on and like help them to try, like, there's a difference between helping and enabling them, because they do have to be able to provide for their child. Like I say, like never give them money, or, you know, I would offer them a drive somewhere, but I wouldn't give them money, for example. Like they need to be able to provide for their child, because if we just enable them, we're doing the child a disservice in the end. But it was a lot easier to fall in love with them. I just want our daughter to know her biological family. Like I want that, but I don't have control over that. And that's hard for me because I love her mom in particular. I don't know her well. I never got to know her well enough, but I love Rosie so much. How can I not love her mom? Oh, I'm going to get emotional talking about this. I would love nothing more to like get together with them and like let them develop a relationship, not as her parents, because we are her parents now, but like for her to know her biological family. That's like so important, because I love them, and they don't know me well. I don't know them well, but they created my daughter and I love them. And her daughter's mother, biological mother, chose life for her. So I know she loves her despite any struggles or obstacles or whatever is in her way, or whatever was in her way for her to be able to safely parent. Like, I know she loves her. She chose life for her when there's so many situations where that wouldn't have been the case. My heart hurts just knowing that like the ties have been severed. There's a lot of adoption that is hard. And one of the things is like completely losing their name and their first birth certificate and applying for their, like that was hard for me, because I'm like, why can't she have both birth certificates? Like, I don't get it. Why does she have to completely lose this tie? Anyways, I don't know. I'm kind of rambling with this one, but it's a lot easier than you think to fall in love with the biological parents of your child. And your heart hurts for them. Next thing is, it will be the best thing that you have ever done with your life. I don't say that lightly. You have changed your life forever. You have changed a child's life forever. The trajectory of that child's life could be much different if you were not involved. Yeah, they could have gone to another foster or adoptive home, or they could have not been advocated for properly, could have gone back to a dangerous situation, could have ended up dead, could have grew up in the foster care system, aging out, ending up incarcerated and addicted. When these kids come into care, the odds are stacked against them. And you can be the person that changes their life. And that is why I'm so passionate about talking about foster care and adoption here, because if more loving, kind people cared about these kids and did something about it, not just cared, because there's lots of people that care, but actually took action and did something about it, I think our world would be in a lot better place. And I think so many more kids would have a chance, a shot at our future. I know we brought our daughter into a normal, stable, average, healthy family. And because of that, she has a good shot at a normal life. That doesn't mean her life is going to be perfect. It's going to turn out great. She's going to do great things. Even though I believe that for her and I believe that in her, that doesn't mean that. She's had odds stacked against her, but she will know how much God loves her. Every day she'll know that. And even when she questions her story and she questions her why, we have the opportunity to tell her every day how much God loves her. And she's going to have some hard times as she processes everything that's happened in her life. But Lord willing, she's going to have an amazing, healthy, normal, average life. And that could have been very different for her. My husband and I look at each other multiple times a day and just smile because of like how much joy she brings us. We went into battle for her. We went through the ringer for her. We almost lost her to a stranger. Nothing about our foster and adoption journey has been easy, but everything has been worth it. And if you adopt from the foster care program, I promise it will be one of the best things you ever do with your life. Whew, I didn't think I was gonna cry during this video. Okay, the next point, biology means nothing when it comes to love. I love Rosie just as much, and honestly, if not more, than our biological daughters. And I say that half jokingly, but because of what we went through for her to be ours, there's a connection, a love that I can't explain. For us, having biological babies was relatively easy. You know, we got pregnant relatively easily, easy pregnancies and deliveries, healthy kids. All of that was a very easy process. The love came quickly, naturally, easily. With Rosie, the love came quickly, naturally, and easily, but nothing about her becoming our daughter was easy. After the love came quickly, naturally, and easily, the fight began. Not only did we have to advocate and battle for her, but we have to every day help her overcome obstacles that are no fault of her own. And I think when there's the vulnerability of a child in care, when you love a child who's in foster care, their vulnerability, I think that vulnerability like just makes your love extra strong. And I don't really know how to explain it, but when you know these kids at no fault of their own have been dealt this injustice, it makes loving and caring for them so easy. Yes, there's hard stuff, but I don't think people realize how easy it is to love these kids. And like I said earlier, I'm half joking when we say we love her more than our biological daughters. Obviously we don't. We love all of our kids the same. But there's this different kind of love, this like, I fought for you, I'm advocating for you, I'll be there for you. I'll be there, be the person when somebody else couldn't. I'll be the person, like, I'll try my best to be the mom you deserve. Like, there's just a different kind of love. Oh my goodness. I didn't think I'd be so emotional. I don't know, maybe this is just me and this is what breaks my heart. Like the injustice done to these kids is what I believe my life's purpose is, to advocate for this area in our world, to advocate for these kids. But I just feel like the love is so much easier than people think. And it's a special, strong connection kind of love. What else you can expect is, and this is something I'm still coming to terms with, is it will take a while for it to be real. It was about 6 weeks ago now that we adopted our daughter, and we just got our birth certificate in the mail. Like, it's just kind of like real settling in. Like, I don't have any more workers to meet with her. I don't have to ask permission. I don't have to document when she gets a little bump or bruise. I can take her out of the country. I can go get her passport. You know, there's just, I don't have to do all of this other stuff that I had to do even 6 weeks ago. So it's taking a while for it to like sink in and be real. I got a call from one of her therapists the other day to check up on her, and they used her birth name, and I was like, oh, her name's actually, like, she's been adopted now. And it was the first time I felt like this confidence, like, she's my daughter. She's not going anywhere. Like, she's our daughter. So just know it will probably take a little bit of time for it to feel real. It's depending on how long you fostered them, right? Like, and what their story was. But for us, it's taken a while for it to feel real, but it's starting to feel real now. And the last point, the last thing you can expect, and this is something I'm just kind of wrestling with, is you are probably going to want to do it again. This experience has been amazing. There's been lots of ups and downs. There's been lots of hard times. There's been lots of tears. There's been lots of frustration. But we get this little girl to love forever. We get to love her forever. And she's ours. And people will tell us, like, she's lucky to have us. And I say, no way. We're lucky to have her. She has brought light and joy and hope and strength, like bonding our family together, because we all, even our older kids, like, we all were in this together. She's just brought so much to our family, and it has been such a fulfilling experience adding to our family through adoption, through foster care. And I've grown in so many ways. I can't imagine not like wanting to do this again. Like, it has enriched my life in so many ways. I can't imagine not wanting to do it again. So those are the 10 things that you can expect, or at least I've experienced when adopting through the foster care system. I hope you find this video helpful. I didn't think I'd get so emotional, but like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you're new. I'd love to have you, and I will see you guys on the next video. Bye.